anima, anima siddhi. This is the power which one possesses to become as small as an atom, or even smaller, to identify yourself with the smallest part of the universe, knowing the self in that atom to be one with yourself. This is due to the fact that the anima mundi, or soul of the world, is universally spread throughout all aspects of life. Through this siddhi, one may change the density in one's body, enabling one to pass through solid matter. Mahima siddhi. This siddhi allows one to increase the size of their body, as opposed to decreasing it from its original size to gargantuan proportions, ultimately reaching a size that envelops almost the entire physical universe. But probably not entirely, as there are many Hindu beliefs which state that the universe is constantly expanding. And there are many Sufi beliefs that believe that Allah is constantly creating, destroying the universe, moment by moment, meaning that everything is constantly new. Everything is constantly being reborn. In other words, you are constantly being given a chance to try it again. You're given a chance to do it again. It's never over. It is never over. Gurima siddhi. This siddhi involves increasing the weight of one's body. The body can become as heavy as a mountain, or even heavier, by swallowing draughts of air. Gravity is obviously manipulated through the use of this siddhi. Think about it. Gravity. Gravity. Can you imagine what you can do if you can control gravity? We will go on. Lugima siddhi. This siddhi allows one's body to have no weight. Lugima is the control of the effect of the Earth's attraction on the body by developing in each cell the opposite or centrifugal tendency, and is said to be implemented for the performed act of, can you guess? Levitation. It enables one to defy the force of gravity and thus fly at will. It also enables one to move at an extreme speed. Prukti siddhi. Through utilizing this siddhi, one may have unrestricted access to all locations, listen closely, in any dimension or plane. Some Sanskrit texts describe this siddhi as allowing one to, quote, touch the moon from the earth with his finger, unquote. But of course, that statement is not meant to be taken literally. It does not mean that one extends her hand from where they are on earth to the surface of the moon. It is a metaphoric statement worded in a poetic manner to describe that this siddhi can allow one's body to manifest wherever you please, even to multiple locations at the same time. Prakumya city. This city allows one to materialize whatever object you desire. Some people also consider that this city can be applied to enable one's soul to enter into any physical body you choose, and can also be used to maintain a youthful appearance for as long as one pleases. Eitzitva city. This is considered to be one of the greatest cities. It enables dominion over the laws of nature and overlaps with many of the previous cities I have mentioned, meaning that the mastery of the many of the previous cities are required as a prerequisite for the mastery of this particular city, Eitzitva city. One of the applications of this city is to make one's soul depart from their body, quote unquote, die at their will, enabling one to be physically alive for any length of time he or she chooses. And lastly, Vasitva city. The city involves the ability to subjugate all beings. They are mesmerized by one's exercise of will to be made obedient to one's wishes and orders. Like the previous city I mentioned, this city is considered to be one of the highest of the 8 that have been mentioned so far, and requires the mastery of many other cities. You would not imagine, you could not imagine how many city powers that exist. Now, to learn the city powers, to learn the mudra powers, the mantra powers, you listen to the place inside. You get involved with others who are listening to the place inside, forming groups and talking about these subjects. By practicing the great mantras, you will come across certain tremendous powers that we call the cities. They invariably come to you. And remember, the other higher meaning of city is perfection or attainment. So again, don't let anyone tell you, oh, don't work with those cities. Well, yes, thank you, Mr. FBI man. But yes, I am working with the cities. It is very important to know about the cities, because sometimes you can become so flooded with the spiritual energy that you will be at a loss to know what to do with it. Just as a man who obtains but doesn't know how to operate a gun can be a source of danger to himself and those around him, a person who has obtained the cities without a corresponding wisdom in their use can be equally dangerous. This has been true in the lives of many masters in the past and the lives of many gurus in the present. I know I give you many book suggestions to read and many different occult, paranormal, spiritual, galactic, interdimensional techniques to use. I want to offer to you a wide selection so that you can feel what resonates with you. Not everything is meant for all of us. Each of us is attuned to special practices and certain spiritual paths, because each of us operates on a specific frequency. So you must start experimenting to know what spiritual path and technique resonates with the spiritual frequency that you vibrate on. Not everything is meant for all of us. Each of us is attuned to special practices and certain spiritual paths. So you don't have to do everything I suggest. I want you to find what resonates with your being, what works, what you feel is the best way that you'd like to work. Some people are very physical and enjoy the work with Qigong, mudras, yoga, exercise, and so forth. Other people prefer to work with their minds and spirits. These are the meditators, the ones who enjoy using the mantras and so forth. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. You can get this book from a wide variety of sources. Amazon.com, I love it. It's always good. And you can read reviews about the book before buying it. Patanjali's, I'll spell it for you. P as in Peter, A, T as in Thomas, A, N as in Nancy, J as in Joseph, A, L as in Larry, I as in Ida. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras is one of the best ways to develop city powers. I can guarantee that you have never read anything like Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. He is clear, yes. He is knowledgeable, yes. But more than that, there is obviously a wisdom that he possesses that goes back way beyond recorded history and may come from the stars. For those of you new to Patanjali, Patanjali was an enlightened Siddha master. He lived several thousands of years ago, and he is regarded as the founder of yoga. Now, like I said, you're going to be amazed. You have never read a spiritual book like this, because not only does he tell it like it is, but there is no filler in these books. It's just absolutely freaking amazing. It is just pure power. He was also one of the greatest spiritual scientists who, through his inner journeys, through his inner meditations, he unlocked the link between mind and matter. Wow! Giving him mastery over supernormal powers such as instantaneous thought manifestation, being able to appear in several places at once, being able to understand all languages, and knowing the innermost thoughts of others. However, as Patanjali did not want such potent secrets to fall into wrong or inexperienced hands, he concealed such secret techniques behind sometimes opaque sayings in his instructional manual known as the Yoga Sutras. But don't go out and spend $3,000 with some fake guru to learn these things. Spiritual wisdom is not something to be charged for. The only thing a teacher will charge you for is his or her time. And by that I mean a real teacher. Basically, a beggar's begging bowl. The teacher needs a roof over his house, right? Just like you do. And food in his and his family's mouths. If he's spending all day writing books, doing videos, doing CDs, taking phone calls, emails from students, and then spending all night doing various rituals, well, think about that. He does not have time to fit a 9-to-5 job in there. Okay? He must hold out the begging bowl. You must make sure your teacher has money to provide for his or her basic necessities. However, you are under no obligation to buy your teacher a Mercedes-Benz. Okay? So if he asks for one, you can tell him where to go. and where you're going to another teacher because he or she is no teacher. A friend of mine once told me that the true metaphysical freedom fighter is like a gambler. I thought about this and I said, a gambler? I really couldn't imagine how the two could even be said in the same sentence. Because I've known a few gamblers in my time. They can't stop. They will gamble away their house and home, even the food their baby girl is about to eat. But my friend said, exactly. He continued, he says, when you are ready to give up all, when your passion to achieve full activation mastery of your being exceeds every other desire you have, then you will be given the keys to the mastery of the way of power. Incidentally, there is an entire 50-page section entitled The Way of Power in my book, Beyond Duality. You might think that I'm getting rich or possibly could get rich through selling this book. Honestly, people, for some reason, like to associate with the successful. But with all the money that Uncle Sam demands, with taxes, the incredible prices for storage of books, the illegality of keeping books on your own property, the police in Kirkwood, Missouri actually came to my door because they thought that I had books in my own apartment. God forbid my own book in my own apartment. Anyway, most authors are at this point. They make enough money to live and continue with their research and write their next book. Like I said, I've not asked you to click on anything or to send me $79.95 and you can have my book. I've told you how to get an inexpensive used copy before it sells out. Now, for a good 100% free, no, what do they call it? Free course on activating your Kundalini, I ask you to go to this web address. So you're going to need a pen and paper or your computer. Open up a file right now so that you can write this down. www.kundalini_fact_or_fiction.html, and I will put that up underneath the video just in case you did not get that. I know it's a long one. No strings attached. That's the phrase I was looking for. It's a full program and it is excellent. You activate your Kundalini, you activate your city powers. Now, Gnostic spirituality centered on the goddess Sophia, whose name means wisdom. Sophia was a version of the Great Mother worshipped in many ancient pagan religions and still revered by indigenous peoples today. She may very well have been one of a group of extraterrestrials that came to this universe. Sacramental sexuality enacted in quote-unquote orgies or rites of empowerment was a widespread pagan practice. Now, tantric sects in India present a close parallel to what were called the Orphites. Tantrikas, those who practice Tantra, which is a valid, I repeat again, valid form of enlightenment and development. Tantra, just like mantra, just like mudra, just like yoga. Okay? Tantrikas used erotic rituals for arousing the serpent power, which makes you think maybe what? The serpent lightning rod, perhaps? The serpent power is Kundalini, okay? Who is envisioned as a goddess, actually envisioned as a living being to reach cosmic consciousness. There's a planet 4 to 8 times the size of Earth. I think you know where I'm going with this. Ancient cultures and knowledge that tell us there is another planet in our solar system, and that there are beings who live on that planet. A great man by the name of Zechariah Stichen wrote a great deal about this. Many writers only focus on one term or name. In other words, they will only write about and talk about stargates ad nauseum, or Nephilim, or Anunnaki. That's all you hear them talking about. They have this one subject that they beat to death. Some of them have been around so long that finally they are picking up on clues from other speakers and basically taking what other speakers are saying and incorporating it into their own thing so that they sound very current. But actually it's just, for years and years they talked about the same old thing. Now, but with Zechariah Stichen, the thing is that rarely do these other authors tie all this together and also show how the language ties all this together. More and more recently, mainstream cutting-edge research is pushing the envelope of mainstream astronomy. I didn't say astrology, I said astronomy. Now, however, when I was younger, Sumerian culture was considered very ancient. Today, well, actually yesterday, I climbed to the top of a recently uncovered circular pyramid in the heart of Mexico City that is 8,000 years old. We have now discovered cultures in Turkey going beyond Çatal Hüyük, one which was dated around 7,000 BCE. And this new archaeological dig dates back, according to the archaeologists, not to some woo-woo New Age person, but to 12,000 BCE. So, Stichen is good, but as we continue to dig and we continue to dive into the depths of the ocean, we continue to go back further and further in time. Still, Stichen did his homework, and he shows how the ancient alien wisdom connected with ancient mythology and religious text. He was truly a towering genius in his field. He is still very much worth reading. Always approach this work as approaching a puzzle, and gradually fill in the pieces of the puzzle. An intruder planet contacted our primitive Earth. Perhaps our Earth was called Tiamat at that time. there is much debate concerning this. Was Earth called Tiamat, or did a planet called Tiamat enter our solar system? There definitely is missing a planet in our solar system. Unbelievably, the musical scale has proved that a planet is missing. Is this planet the asteroids, a planet that was blown to smithereens? Were the asteroids a planet that was destroyed? Others suggest that there was a group of very evil beings who entered our solar system. They were running away, fleeing from a good galactic federation, an extraterrestrial federation that was chasing them. They ended up in our solar system, and they came upon the planet Tiamat. Now, according to this theory, Tiamat once existed between Mars and Jupiter and was referred to as the, quote, get this, second sun, unquote. Great deal of evidence to support that. Read Joseph Farrell, please. Indeed, it may have been mistaken for a sun because its atmosphere was resplendent because of reflections from the light of the actual sun. This is not improbable, as it sounds, because think about Venus, which we call the, quote, morning star, unquote, the second planet from the sun, and simultaneously the third brightest object in the sky. It is so bright that it casts a distinct shadow on moonless nights. According to the harmonic musical rule known as Bode's law, which I just mentioned, a planet should exist between Mars and Jupiter, some 260 million miles from the sun. Beginning in 1801, tiny rock and metallic objects were discovered to be orbiting the sun at about this distance. Since then, several 100,000 large asteroids have been catalogued. It had earlier become evident that much of the material of this missing planet had been pulled into the orbits of Earth, Mars, and Jupiter as either meteors or orbiting satellites. As told in various legends, a certain planetary body in our solar system was completely obliterated. Recent scientific discoveries also support the idea of celestial upheaval in prehistoric times. We refer to the missing planet as Tiamat, but other sources refer to it by many other names. According to Michael Tsarion, quote, planets rarely explode on their own. So logically, we can suppose that the pursuers of the Nephilim, erroneously thinking their enemies were hiding on Tiamat, utterly annihilated the planet. This horrific act and the cosmic havoc it caused was recorded by many ancient myths and tales, unquote. Clearly, there is good and evil in the universe, and there is no reason to suppose that there could not be an evil race of aliens who were pursued into our solar system by the good galactic brothers. Tsarion bases most of his theory on the fact that he says Tiamat had a lot of water on it, and since the world is filled with flood myths and there's a lot of water on planet Earth, this must mean that when Tiamat was blown up it rained ice and water down upon the earth. Well, I don't know about you, but this sounds like a bit absurd to me. Yes, I know that on planet Earth, due to asteroids hitting our Earth, great enormous icebergs flew up into the air and landed as far south as the southern states of the United States. But to posit that water and ice from an exploded planet traveled through space, and remember, it would have to occur in a specific part of the rotation of the planets around the sun, and then enter our atmosphere without completely being turned to water vapor or destroyed completely. How can you believe that? The point of the exact trajectory that the exploded planet, Tiamat maybe, would have had to have been exploded at a precise time in order for its debris to rotate around the sun and then be attracted to the Earth's atmosphere and then be in just the right place for the Earth to show up in just the right time to be rained on. But all this water from Tiamat, well, this just stretches my credulity way too much. That horrible alien warlords arrived on our planet, I have no doubt. But this concept of Tsarions about Tiamat sending great icebergs floating through our space and successfully entering our atmosphere at precisely the right angle and trajectory, the right angle of entry, just pushes his theory beyond reasonable consideration for me. Why don't we know where heaven is? You ever think about that? Yet the Sumerians say that their gods and goddesses came from Nibiru, a planet that took 3,600 solar years to complete one cycle. This is Zechariah Stichen's theory and makes much more sense than Tsarion's. So, the time for having hobbies is over. The time to have an interest in conspiracies, a fascination with the paranormal, ETs, the first people, psychotronics, it's all over. In the sense that in the old days, we could have our clubs and so forth, where we comfortably discuss these subjects over coffee or a beer or maybe something a little stiffer. Now it is a time of life or death. You must know yourself. You must explore profoundly your inner self. Know thyself must take on powerful and primary importance in your life. All your interests are no longer something you do once a week at your psychotronics meetings or your UFO club meeting. You must gather together in person if possible, in areas away from any electronic monitoring, and discuss how to best approach your interest in terms of life and death, not in terms of a casual hobby or interest. I say it now. I have no interest in people who are interested in overthrowing governments, especially the United States. However, I am interested in making sure our government honors and respects the very Constitution on which it was founded. There were giants at one time on the face of the earth. Real giants. I want you to start taking things literally, at least as far as mythology and spiritual teachings. Of course you must use discretion. However, there were real giants. This is not a metaphor for there being great men and women walking the earth in the first times. Not only does the Bible in Genesis state this clearly, but the mythology of handed down information of many indigenous cultures speak about these giants. This information is being suppressed, people. One interesting fact is that while it is not a tenet of the Islamic faith that one must believe this, the prophets of Islam, and we say there were 124,000 prophets sent by the divine reality to humanity. They were giants, many of them. Their tombs clearly are evidence that they were giants. And as we know, the Bible states that the prophets lived exceedingly long lives. The information we have been given in school about how small and short man was 200 years ago, about the old sailing ships and how low the doorways were, is correct as far as it goes. But all this is referring to a humankind that has been nearly destroyed. A humankind that was physically and psychologically traumatized. We are now only a shadow of what we once were. And I am here to change that. I am here to make you into actualized human beings. I am here to wake you up. I am here to wake up your DNA. I am here to wake up your minds. I am here to wake up your beings. I am making you grow physically, spiritually, psychically, interdimensionally. I can tell you what your new mantra means, but that's not how it works. It works by you exchanging your energies with the mantra. You allow the mantra to enter you and work its changes inside you, making you into a fully activated human being. Your new mantra is peace in strength, strength in peace. That ends our transmission for June 27, 2011. We will resume our contact soon.